Welcome back to Drewster Racing. Today we're going to take it back to my first crit ever, or let me rephrase that, my first crit that I've ever completed. Let's see, back in 2017 I raced a crit out in California, but was in terrible shape, didn't have much fitness, and was dropped almost immediately, and then later, of course, pulled. Didn't think I wanted to go forward racing crits, didn't think I was strong enough, was also terrified of crashing. But with this being the first crit of the year and being on a new team, Primal Audi Denver, I wanted to give it a fair shake. So I signed up for the CSU Oval Criterium. The course is only about 6/10 of a mile, so pretty short. A lot of turning, not extremely technical. You just had to be focused the whole time. There really weren't any long stretches where you can kind of let off the gas or kind of hide. It was pretty difficult. I mean, they were pulling guys. After the first couple laps, I'd say we started with about 40 or so riders, and by about this point in the race, with 20K to go, I'd say about a third of the field has already been pulled. If you look at the way the group's set up now, it's strung out, and it was like this, I would say, for 70 to 80% of the race, maybe more. But yeah, very, very difficult race. So again, this is my first full Criterium race, and going into it, I really didn't have a strategy. I just kind of wanted to see what Criterium racing was all about. So my goal was just to hang with the main group, have fun, be safe, and finish upright. So since I essentially just tailgun this entire race, I don't think it makes a whole lot of sense to analyze the race and kind of go play by play. So I wanted to answer just a few common questions that I see all the time on like Reddit or below like a cycling racing channel that people have when they first get into criterium racing. And one question that I see all the time is, am I fit enough to hang in a Cat 4 race? Or how does my FTP look? Will I be competitive? Am I going to get dropped? I don't think that's really the right question to ask. I think, and I really don't think you can even answer that question. The best move is just to get out there and race. For instance, in this race right here, there were 40 something starters, and I just checked the results. Only 15 people finished. Everybody else was pulled. Now, I have no doubt the riders that were pulled are strong riders. Like, it just happens. It's going to happen in racing. So, putting off your first race because you're afraid to get dropped just doesn't make sense, because it's going to happen. You could have all the fitness in the world, but if you don't have those pack skills or just that race intelligence to race and ride efficiently, you're going to get dropped. Maybe not right away, but eventually you most likely will get dropped. So your best bet is to just get out there and race. I remember my first criterium. That was the Cats Hill Classic out in Los Gatos, California. I thought I was relatively fit, and I think up to that point, even kind of put off my first race by a few months, or maybe even a full season. But I was dropped instantly. First lap, there's a 20% climb. I didn't have the fitness. I just didn't have those instincts to be in the right spot when that climb started, and was dropped. A few laps later, pulled from the race, and I was pretty discouraged. I spent maybe $50 to race for, I don't know, 15 minutes. And it kind of ruined racing for me. I kind of thought racing really wasn't for me. And that led to me putting off racing for 5 years, which is that was so stupid. Had I have actually just got back out there, got a few more reps in that year, sure, I wouldn't have done well, but I would have built those pack skills. And I mean, 5 seasons of racing and training, like, I have no doubt I would be a Cat 2 right now. Who knows, maybe even higher instead of a Cat 3. Another common question I see around racing is, what kind of bike do I need, or do I have a good enough race bike? You might be wondering, is my bike light enough? Is it aero enough? Does it cost enough to race? I'm sure you've seen some of the racers that have like these like $12,000 S works, and you might be thinking, oh, my bike's nowhere near good enough, so I need to spend at least 5, 10, 10K to compete, and that is definitely not the case. If you have a bike that fits, it's comfortable, it's a road bike, and it has some type of racing geometry, you're fine. It's suitable for racing, especially at this Category 4, Category 5 level. the bike really doesn't make that big of a difference. Fitness and pack skills far outweigh the benefits of an expensive bike. Dura-Ace Di2 is cool. Is it necessary? Absolutely not. Now, if you can afford a bling bike or you really just want one, I say absolutely go for it. Just don't let that prevent you from racing. Also, be sure to subscribe. In the next few weeks, I plan to release some videos on my race bikes, including my first race bike, which is an aluminum bike that is absolutely perfect for crits and probably the bike I should be racing. Also, I'll have a video on the bike that I'm racing in this race and the bike that I used for all of 2022, and then my new bling race bike for 2023. So again, subscribe and keep an eye out for those videos. So the last major hurdle I see preventing people from racing is crashing, or at least the fear of crashing. Look, crashes happen. Bike racing is dangerous, but crashes do not happen anywhere near the rate that they appear on cycling YouTube or Instagram Reels. I feel like a lot of creators highlight crashes simply because they get views. If you're racing 30, 40 times a year, like I did last year, I crashed twice. And I mean, a lot of my teammates crash maybe once, some not at all. It just kind of depends. Maybe you'll have a season where you crash a few more times, but you're not crashing at the rate that you see on YouTube. The crashes are not as bad as you think. You're most likely going to get some road rash. You could break a bone or two, but like it's it's just not as bad as it appears. I recommend going into the season just accepting that, if you race a bunch, it's going to happen. But again, don't let that prevent you from racing, especially criteriums. Again, I mentioned I before this race, I did not want to race criteriums at all, just because I was frankly afraid. I thought road races would be safer. I thought maybe hill climbs would be fun, and just figured I would not race criteriums. But with this being the first one, I gave it a shot and ended up absolutely loving it. And I've actually, again, I've crashed a few times in criteriums, and I don't know, the crashes weren't that bad. Whereas like I've been in some road races where things have gotten sketchy and I haven't crashed yet in a road race, knock on wood. But road races, I mean, I wouldn't want to crash in a road race. At least the ones that I've been in that were sketchy. Like you're going extremely fast, sometimes downhill, and to me those seem like they actually could be more dangerous because I guess going into my first year racing last year, I just assumed road races were safer, and maybe they are, maybe they aren't. But I wouldn't argue that criteriums are much more dangerous than road races. But if you disagree, please comment below and let me know what you think. So to sum everything up, just start racing. You won't know if you're ready to race until you've actually already raced. So don't let your fitness, your bike, and your fear of crashing prevent you from racing. Go out, sign up for the next available criterium, and just have fun. Don't worry about the results, just focus on having fun. Alright, so switching gears back to the race, we have about 1.5 laps to go, and I am still tailgunning. I've essentially been tailgunning this entire race. And I'm not completely out of position, but I need to start moving forward at least a few spaces. I think the eventual winner of this race isn't that much further ahead. I think he's like 3 or 4 wheels ahead in the pink jersey. So again, I'm not completely out of position, but if I'm going to start making moves that needed to happen on this lap are like right now. Because we're going to go into this corner here. There's a straight. It kind of slows down a little bit. But after the next corner, you'll see everyone's making their move at the same time. And I'm just not going to go from the back of the group to the front in half a lap of a very short, fast course with not a lot of space to move. And here it is. We're into this turn, and everyone's essentially kind of starting their sprint. There's, I don't know, 600 or so meters to go, and I'm kind of boxed. I don't really have anywhere to go. So out of position, and as it ramps up, you'll see after that turn, a gap opened up, and essentially there are now 2 groups, and I am in the back group and really just not contending for the sprint. So look how the groups kind of formed around this corner here. And really all I can do is pass this rider up here to my left and sprint it out with my teammate, but I am completely out of contention for a podium. And that's due to waiting too long. I think the tail gunning strategy wasn't too bad. I was able to just conserve, but I waited way too long to make my move. And when I made my move, everybody was making their move. So I just wasn't making up the spaces like I needed to. I ended up finishing 11th overall, but I think what shouldn't be overlooked was just how much fun that I had. I had so much fun. I could not get over this race and how much fun that I had for like the next week. And yeah, going into this race being afraid of criteriums and then coming out absolutely loving it was very unexpected. And I think since this race, I have now signed up for just about every criterium in the Denver area, or like in a 3 hour radius of Denver. So give it a shot. Thanks again for watching. Please be sure to subscribe. I have a few more 2022 race videos coming out before the 2023 season begins. So highly recommend subscribing so you can be the first to know about those. And yeah, I look forward to seeing you on the next race video. Later.